Now, let's pivot into. I know we were going to talk. Well, maybe we'll talk about Throne and Liberty next week. But as we're getting closer to the end of the show, I do want to talk about No Man's Sky and Light No Fire with you guys because last year at the Game Awards, Sean Murray announced Light No Fire as the first true open world game. And they show it off. It's a planet size. So you think, No Man's Sky, all of these quadrillions of planets that you can travel and explore, now down into we're going to render an entire planet and its ecosystem. And I'm on board. Like as soon as I saw that trailer, I was like, I want to know more. It looks like it's an action RPG with some building mechanics and it's multiplayer and fantasy based. I was like, literally, it's every checkbox that I checked, and we'll have to wait and see. Now, since then, it's been very, very quiet. And then yet No Man's Sky has been pumping out their free updates, and now out 8 years, celebrated the 5.0 release, and they launched 5.0, and it looks like Light No Fire. Like the visual fidelity that they brought up into that game, I think it's like it kind of matches to what we saw in the Light No Fire trailer, and so that has me incredibly hyped for that game. How do you guys feel about that? Obviously No Man's Sky had a lot of drama. I still see anytime I talk about it, people coming out of the woodwork, mad at Sean Murray. And I'm just like, the guy has released 8 years of free content updates.
It's one of the best comebacks I've ever seen in gaming, because you have botched launches all the time, but No Man's Sky is still just cranking out good content updates, and they've got a very supportive community. Yeah. And you've got people that are like, Sean Murray, let us give you money. We bought the game, but you're still supporting a game that we enjoy. I'm just thoroughly impressed by what his team has managed to do and turn around. That's so cool. And the newest updates are just straight fire. They look fantastic.
I'm impressed. I'm impressed. There's a comedian that tells this story about being a kid, and he didn't get a Happy Meal because his parents didn't have enough money. And it was back when you had to pay for Happy Meals with cash or gold, and they were 79 cents a piece. That was the only two ways to pay. And so they said there wasn't any way, and they only had $2, and so there wasn't enough for all the kids to get Happy Meals. So they said, would it be okay if you, as the oldest, didn't get a Happy Meal? And he said, at the time I said yes, and I was disappointed, but I thought I would be rewarded for my sacrifice. And instead I am now 43, and my siblings, every time they see me, go, would it be okay if you didn't get a Happy Meal? He's like, I'm still being mocked for this thing to this day. And that's what I picture with Sean Murray, is through whether it was his fault or not, it was a crappy launch. There was a lot of things said, but he has shown up and done they've done everything right, just repeatedly for years. And people are just like, yeah, but your game still sucks though, right? And it's but it doesn't. It's a great game. What caused me to pick it back up years later after I'd heard it was a great game, and was like, yeah, sure, was I got my first VR headset, and it was one of the handful of titles that was we support full VR. And when I Googled it, people were like, yes, great VR. And it got me back in. And then I was like, oh, I kind of want to play this game without VR even. I was just impressed. So the fact that they are taking that technology and saying, okay, well, now let's apply it to a different space. I'm seeing a little bit of criticism about that. They're just reusing the same thing. It's well, where's that? I mean, if we let Bethesda still be in business, then No Man's Sky can do whatever they want. They have released the same game 87 times, and we make fun of it, but we keep buying it. Mm-hmm. So I'm excited for it. I think it looks awesome. It'd be great.
Yeah, I cannot wait to learn more. And I'm honestly hoping that, from a lessons learned perspective, when I go back and listen to what Sean Murray was saying, I resonate with that mindset. Is that it sounds like an excited developer that's talking about everything this game's going to do, but he's not effectively communicating expectations around timeframes of those things. Because I even tweeted out, what does No Man's Sky not do that was promised today? And overwhelmingly the response is no, everything he said that was going to be in the game is in the game. And so then I go back with that context and look at everything he said, and he was just like, yeah, we're going to do this, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do this. And all of a sudden it became, we're going to do it this at launch. And I do wonder, obviously
he gave a Yoshi P 10-year plan.
Yeah.
We were like, Day and
Day
date.
and date, it's happening. And so it just makes me even more excited. So, but my hope from a lessons learned is that we see them do a Light No Fire early access, because that label, and even Force Gaming tweeted this out, and I think it's actually very fair, and maybe we should talk about it in this way. He's that there's really two categories of early access: early access, and polished early access. But regardless of that different split, early access is such a blessing label that it just, yes, you're going to still piss off people who are wanting and hungry. Like, No Rest for the Wicked has a massive update next week. I'm so excited to play it and go hands-on with it. But that's not to say that people who have done everything in the game, don't have a legitimate frustration with the current state of that game. It's like, yeah, we're waiting for more content. Good news, it's coming. No Rest for the Wicked is a polished early access game, where PAX Day is a very, very early access game. And so there's a clear difference in that. But still, both are protected by that label. And if you look at Light No Fire, launching in an early access, having that label to sit here and say, yeah, okay, there's a bug there, there's an issue there. Plus, you add into their history of the last 8 years of working till it's right, delivering it also for free. Who knows if they're going to continue that, deliver it for free going forward? But I don't see them changing that. But let us give you money, Sean. Let us give you more money, because this is something I think is truly exciting.
It's where a small cosmetic goes a long way. It's where let me buy a helmet that has a little gummy bear at the top of the antenna. It's a minor difference, and it's $8. And just make it really clear, this is just because we've had some people saying they want to support us. It's just a gummy bear on the end of antenna. I promise that's all it's going to be. And people are like, well, why would you buy that? I think you'll find a lot of people are like, have my $8, man. That's awesome.
Well, it's like when you play any free to play game. If you get enough enjoyment out of it, and this is just my way I handle it. If I play it enough, I might buy a battle pass or an expansion or something. That because I went in for free and I found more enjoyment than I expected. No Man's Sky, the only reason I really ever played it is because it was on Game Pass, and that was well after the bad launch. That was after the first couple of rounds of updates, and I was like, man, this is a pretty solid game. I was thoroughly surprised by it. So if I've been playing it for the last 8 years, I would love to be able to support beyond that initial purchase, because what you bought isn't what you have right now.
And it's a great use of collector's editions. It's a great use of Sorry. I don't buy cosmetics, but I do buy if I like a developer, I'll buy their next bundle. Even if I don't even think I don't know how much I'm going to play that game, I don't know how much I'm going to enjoy it, but it's part of that money feels like I'm thanking you for the past experience.
Yeah. And Jordan has a good kind of pushback to people who are frustrated that some things might be being reused, which from a developer perspective, I think is such a healthy kind of mindset, because both games can benefit, but reusing existing things but making it better, I believe that's called innovation.
The armchair devs on Twitter or X that are just like, oh, this is the same tree. It's like, of course it's the same tree. I'm not going to make a whole new tree, but I just need a tree,
Just need a tree, man. Just need a tree. Now, what's
especially
interesting
in early access, why would I, if this game gets to that point where the tree is the one thing that's not letting it nail in its identity, then let's go spend some time making a tree. But right now, this isn't tree simulator. Just reuse the tree.
And by the way, before we move on too far, I just want to say also don't forget that when No Man's Sky originally did release and everyone complained about the lack of features, the company itself lost most of the gameplay and a lot of data because the entire building got flooded.
Yeah.
And that's what didn't help. They had a huge flood which damaged a lot of their servers and a lot of their data. So they had a release date that they had to hit.
As a developer, though, I will push back that there's a level of responsibility that you need to ensure to protect your source code. And clearly, when your building got flooded, that meant you were storing it on site and you didn't have the appropriate backup. That's an IT failure more than anything else. But that did happen. That is the reality. I think that did set them back, obviously, from what they wanted.
Lessons learned, right? I'm sure they have 2 or 3 offsite backups at this point.
Yeah, and different geographical locations.
Right.
There's a really good standard. And now, especially when you look at 8 years later, when you look at how the evolution of cloud, when we talked about it from a gaming perspective,